Hi trader, welcome to the weekly recap. Today's video analysis will review the US dollar. It's in a very interesting spot at the moment with major tops and bottoms in play and actually a dollar bearish momentum. So that will be our focus, the euro dollar, pound dollar, yen and Aussie. But first of all, be aware that the video analysis is intended for a global audience. It may not be suitable for everyone. Take a look at the link and select your country of residence and contact an appropriate entity to find out more about that. Also, trading for exchange is considered high risk and may not be suitable for everyone. Please seek the advice of an independent financial advisor for more information on that. And this webinar is for educational and informational purposes only. By continuing watching this video analysis, you agree with this disclaimer. First of all, the pound dollar weekly chart. And the pound dollar is a very interesting spot because of two reasons. First of all, we had back-to-back bullish candles on the weekly chart. And the last week was a very serious bullish candle with a close right at the high, indicating a lot of bullish strength. So obviously we had a very strong downtrend, but at this moment you can see a lot of candles that didn't continue with that downtrend as yet and now is showing the reverse, because if we zoom in, you'll be able to see that strong bullish candle. Second of all, if we look at the daily chart, we will see something interesting, is the fact that there is this resistance spot, this big master candle here, right here, dominating the market because the price was not able to break really below or above it all too much, except this day, but it failed to break with wicks here. Now we have actually a candle that's trying to break through it, did close above it, but so far I would say the break is marginal at best. At the moment it is pushing through it, it is breaking, it's trying to break at least at this very moment. So if I zoom into lower time frames, is this going to be a bounce or break spot? I think it's too soon to tell. Looking at the 4-hour candles, it looks like an indecision at the moment. But if I look at the hourly, I would say there is a decent chance, because we have a bull flag at the moment, that we could be breaking up here on the pound dollar and breaking through this resistance. If it doesn't break now, I would expect a bit of a pullback perhaps to these tops right in here, for instance, to be enough to find again a bullish bounce. Looking at the weekly chart, you can see that the second lower magenta line here would be a retracement about halfway that candle. So either a halfway retracement of that weekly candle, for instance, to the 38.2 50 fib would be interesting for me to buy, or if it does show a break here on the 4-hour chart, right? But then I would like a pullback to the broken level of 151.60 before trading it. So those are the two versions, basically either a pullback for more upside, or if we do break here, that's fine, but then I want to pull back later on to the same broken level that should be a support for more upside. We will continue with the other pairs in just a second, but I just want to make you aware of the fact that there is a special deposit bonus available in April. So this is just a few days left. For conditions and details, take a look at this link to see what kind of bonus you could be getting depending on your initial deposit. The dollar yen is in a massive consolidation at the moment. It did not break this resistance level, but it has not either broken this support level. So it's in a triangle, perhaps a descending wedge at the moment. Clearly we're at a bounce potential, or break potential, by the way. A bounce could see price head back towards this resistance line and find resistance there, or a break could see price fall down to, for instance, the next support level down in here at about 117, as we can see. So those are the two things I'm keeping an eye on. Space is not all too big at the moment on this dollar yen. Ultimately, we are in an uptrend on the weekly chart, and if we put a fib on this last swing high, swing low of the weekly chart, you can see that if price does basically break to the downside, 117 is a fib on this chart, or a fib on this level too. Let's see if we put it a bit like this. Yes. Anyhow, 117, probably better like this. 117 is an important level for the dollar yen, and at the moment we're consolidating. If it does break above this triangle, obviously that would be interesting too, because then the dollar yen could be in a bigger uptrend again. But for the moment, considering the dollar weakness at this time, I would probably consider the consolidation or a bigger bearish retracement more likely. The euro is coming up in just a second, but before I do that, the webinar of this week, great stuff coming up. We have weekly FX recap today on Monday with Nenet. Tuesday, Wednesday, live trading and Forex strategy in the morning. Wednesday evening, expert opinion on Heiken Ashi. And then Thursday evening, indicators and tools and how to use them as the best way possible. So I hope to see you in one of these webinars, or all of them in fact, sometime soon. All right, let's take a look at the euro dollar weekly chart. And here we see a bullish candle, just like the pound dollar. Of course, the pound dollar has a very strong bullish candle. The euro dollar, not as much, but still bullish twice in a row as well. Still within that bearish candle though, so obviously the euro dollar is facing still that 110.40, 110.50 resistance level, which is key. For the moment though, we do have some upside, not as strong as the cable once again, but it could be enough for price to make a retracement of last week's bullish candle, about halfway perhaps, and then see upside yet again. So if I put a fib on these two candles basically, and look for a retracement, for instance, down to the 50 at 107, or even the 61.8 at 106.60, then that could be interesting spots to enter for longs up to the target of 110.40. Looking at the daily chart, that would look something like this. A retracement first, and I'll be interested in taking longs. A simple plan, but basically at the moment I don't see anything else that could be interesting from this perspective. If, of course, price does get up to 110.40, it could still be a resistance spot, and price could still make a downside from there. Could be interesting for shorts, to look for shorts at least at that area after confirmation of price action. Or if price manages to break eventually above 110, let's say for instance that indeed price dips here, then moves up, hits this resistance, moves down, but then starts to break above it again. Of course, above 110.40 there could be some space up to 112.50, up to this resistance level, and I'll put the lines like this. You can see resistance zone. There could be that space right in between there for that upside. So that's something, of course, that could be interesting. But that's later on when we do get the break and bounce, etc. The alternative, of course, would be actually a down move on the euro dollar. At this moment, I should say, that does not seem so likely considering the bullish price action that I see on the euro dollar and pound dollar. Last but not least, the EURUSD. We talked about this potential expanding wedge, and price is still within that wedge in fact, so it's taking quite a long time to fully develop. But we did have 3 weeks of bullish candles, although very small bullish candles, and at the moment actually price is right at the weekly high of last week and 2 weeks ago. So at the moment it's a risky spot because of that, but if it does retrace just like the euro and pound dollar, that could be still a moment of buying considering the bullish price action. All in all, of course, price is halfway this expanding wedge, so it doesn't seem too interesting at this moment. But you know, if it breaks either above the expanding wedge or hits the expanding wedge and bounces, that could still be a very interesting spot. Or indeed, if it retraces a bit lower, to retrace or pull back against this weekly candle. That will wrap up the weekly recap. Thank you so much for joining. Hope to see you in the webinars this week and wish you all happy hunting. Cheers.